The business of operations management is difficult, particularly in large enterprises like banking, insurance, and other services companies with teams of hundreds and thousands around the globe. Now add in recent pandemic forcing the workplace to change forever. Managers and employees are under immense pressure to get work done, while also finding ways to balance performance and well-being. The complexity is building, and it can be difficult to find the answers. This podcast, AO On Air, partnered with ActiveOps, is designed to help identify areas that will help employees, managers, and senior leaders find solutions to the challenges within operations management. The future of work will take all departments, such as HR, IT, and Ops, aligned along with a steady dose of innovation to succeed. We'll bring you topics, thought leadership, and simple plans to help lead your teams into the future of work. A hybrid work world that will learn from one another and truly act globally, breaking down the silos of older management models for new ways of working. Welcome to the journey. Now let's begin.
Hello and welcome to AO On Air. My name is Michael Cups and you're watching a podcast sponsored by ActiveOps. I'm really excited today. We're talking with someone that has not only been as an employee, but he's been a customer out in the wild. He's actually implemented ActiveOps on multiple occasions. So he's got practical experience as well as experience with the software and what it's like on both sides of the fence, so to speak. So Martin Hogg, welcome.
Thanks, Michael. Really happy to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you here. So how are things down in Australia?
Yeah, really good. Look, we obviously, the last couple of years have been, different, but that's not unusual to the rest of the world. But look, at the moment, doing well. We're just coming through our summer and, a few issues up north with floods, but otherwise fantastic.
Excellent. Well, good to talk to you today and glad we can make this connection. So you have a broad range of experience, both in operations, with technology, et cetera. Why don't we start with maybe an introduction of yourself and maybe your background a bit?
Yeah, sure, Michael. No problems. Look, I've had multiple years of experience in the banking and finance industry, and somebody actually said it was multiple decades the other day, which was a little bit sobering. But 30 years experience across banking and finance industry. Look, that covers retail banking, relationship banking, some program management in there, operations leadership. Is where I really started to develop my passion for operations. And then that extended more to operational enablement and, really delving into leader capability across a broad range of things like, visual management, operating rhythms, and planning and control. So that's where I got a real passion for the work that ActiveOps do.
Excellent. Well, I know we're thrilled to have you join ActiveOps because that experience will pay dividends for our customers in the future. But why don't we start there? Why don't we take a pretty big picture look? You mentioned you've been operations, you've been in banking. There's so many elements that cover, it's people, it's work, it's time, it's customers, all of those things. But just at a high level, why would a bank want to engage with ActiveOps?
Yeah, look, operations, there's so many moving parts, Michael, and I think all of them are striving to meet the cost quality service agendas that they have. I think ActiveOps is a way to actually harness the resources, particularly, the people being one of the biggest variables in that equation. So bringing to that element, the control and the stability, I think, is absolutely critical to success.
Yeah. Well. So let's maybe talk about it as a persona, because you've seen leadership roles down to the front line. But let's start with maybe the symptoms. If you're a operations leader and you have 1,000 employees, what would be the symptoms in your operation where you say, "Hey, I need some help here"? What are those kind of telling signals?
Yeah, so look, the service pressures that come with that, things are constantly getting escalated. You're constantly looking for data to, find a way out. You're constantly dealing with employee engagement issues. So, you see a lot of dissatisfaction around, your resources, I think, and that leads to attrition. So, you're constantly trying to find answers to backfill all of the investments that you've made in your people, and start again essentially. So it's never a nice place to be.
Yeah. So if you're leadership and you're seeing attrition or you're seeing those engagement problems, what about that next level down, that manager that's kind of dealing with the employees on a frontline basis, but also dealing with that SLA that you mentioned that says, hey, we got to meet this service level, but the employees are still human and we have to work with them too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, really, that comes down to constant firefighting. I mean, you're constantly dealing with, the areas that are providing the work. You're trying to keep that balance between, giving them some confidence that you can get out of it, but also you've got to try and give your employees that you can actually, get through the mire. But that constant firefighting, the energy that you spend on talking about the work instead of getting the work done, is amplified significantly.
That's an interesting comment. I want to get back to that. And now let's go down one more layer, the employee. I mean, what are they feeling, and where do they need help? What's the pressures on them?
Yeah, so look, the employee, they feel constantly fatigued, and there's always these requests coming through to do this, do that, which might not be their normal role. It may be going outside the process to fix something. So that fatigue, burnout is something that is a constant characteristic. I think on the individuals front, they're very anxious, so very unsure about what the day is going to unfold, and that level of anxiety generally leads to a feeling that they're unsupported, and that there may be a better place, which leads to the attrition.
Yeah, great. Well, all right, let's play a little word association. Maybe this will work, maybe it won't. But let's take those three personas again, and let's go bottom up. So if you say before ActiveOps and implementation of what could happen, an employee feels fatigue. What would they feel post implementation, or what would be different, I guess?
Yeah, so that they would feel balanced. I think balanced is the right word. So that they would be getting a blend of doing the work, growing their capability, and and actually getting a balance in terms of home life work balance.
Yeah, balance that's good for people. Everybody wants to feel balanced.
Yeah.
All right, now you said the managers were constantly firefighting. So what would be the kind of post effect of having a system like this?
Yeah, so look, managers would feel controlled. So the environment would be well planned, and they would have that sense of control that people are striving to meet that plan. So not so many unexpected things are happening, and the control aspect would probably be the word that I would use for managers.
Yeah, that's good. And then we go back up to the leadership role. And that was, you said that they were dealing with a lot of the service level agreements, attrition, bigger items. But what happens after an implementation like that?
Yeah. So after, look, I haven't necessarily got one word for this, but maybe I have. It's more strategic for them. So I think strategic is the right word. They've got confidence that the now is being looked after, and they can really focus on the road ahead, and really, instead of we say here a lot, driving the car through the rearview mirror, it's actually they've got a much better visibility of where they need to take the car through a forward-looking view.
Excellent. Well, I actually like that the way it played out there, because strategic and confidence. Control and balance. If you think about that, that's a pretty nice operational change from the firefighting and fatigue and all of that stuff. So great for that. So you've implemented ActiveOps before. I'm just wondering, could you share a little bit of the experience? You don't necessarily have to go into the company, or you can, whatever you feel is appropriate. But what did you experience going? Maybe start to finish, or maybe outcomes, however you want to tell the story.
Yeah, so look, I think that one in the context of building and flying the plane, Michael, I think, the operational areas, we never get the mandate to say, okay, we're going to do this really large change, and we're actually going to, just take a break from serving customers. It doesn't work like that. So it's really important that through these deliveries that the plan around the BAU or the existing is really well laid out and really well managed. And we know that when this is done well, we can sometimes find that capacity within the existing operation to really support those transformation efforts, and that's what we found. Generally through areas that we were able to implement into, in terms of my experience, that you deliver a 10 to 15% capacity over a 500 seat operations shop. You've suddenly got 75 people worth of capacity to really help with that transformation effort. So having that really laid out and having both the transformation and the BAU plan work together, I think is really critical. And we found a lot of success, when we took that approach.
Yeah, very good. And you've got you mentioned your background earlier. You mentioned retail banking and other areas. Is there we've implemented in many different areas, but is there one that just kind of stands out that had, I don't want to say the most problems, but the most benefit from getting some control and some consistency?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was those areas that, interestingly enough, were more diverse in terms of where their people were, and I think really being able to harness the ability to understand what I would call the capacity expectation, communicate that well, and control that well. So areas like the business and private bank, for example, we also saw a bit of success in areas that are managing the financial crime agenda. That was one that we were leaning into. But the traditional operations of lending or home loan mortgages, lending fulfillment, is probably the one that is it really is most beneficial to use this process.
Yeah, got it. That financial crime area is interesting as well. Which hopefully we'll have something new to announce there from ActiveOps soon. But let's talk a little bit about technology in operations. You can't pick up a newspaper, open a web page, and not hear the words AI and ML, right? So artificial intelligence, machine learning. And we just announced our Innovation and Insights Lab, where we're doing some critical thinking around where those might apply to operations management. What's your take on the opportunity ahead with new technologies like that?
Yeah, look, I love this. I think there really is some fantastic opportunity here. So, if we think about forecasting and planning, we think about all the work that goes into really trying to predict what that future is going to look like. I think machine learning and AI is something that we can really benefit from there. It is an area where at the moment, if we look at our client base, it's probably the area that is the most opportunity in terms of uplift in capability. I think the suggested actions. So if we think about management process and really leaning into, okay, what should I do now? Highlighting those insights to a leader and really getting a view on what they've got to work with and how they should take action in terms of the day to get the result they need. I think that's absolutely an opportunity. And finally, look, the skills and capability piece, I think, is another really, really untried area that AI and ML could lean into to really understand what skills do I have, where are they best fitting, and what skills do I need? So where do I need to direct my skills in the context of future work?
Yeah, that's interesting, and you're right. There's really a lot of data there to go through, and in some cases it's good data, some cases there's not enough data, but it's going to be an interesting play, and looking forward to what our lab and other labs can kind of figure out there. So let's talk a little bit about the past 2 years. I mean, everybody talks about the pandemic and they have their stories. I guess you crossed over a bit. You were with a bank during the start of the pandemic and through kind of learning how to manage in a different way, or the bank was, I'm sure, not just you particularly. And then you kind of moved over to a vendor. I mean, what do you what do you think of the world today and post-pandemic operations? What's the new challenges? What are the new opportunities?
Yeah, wow. It's look, the last 2 years it's seen a massive redefinition of what the working day is, and not only what it is, it's where it is. A lot of employers have adopted hybrid working practices, and really getting an insight on how people are working and how they can best support those work habits is absolutely critical. And I think one of the things that, the innovations that have come out of how that is handled now have been absolutely fantastic, because, I think early days in the pandemic, we were all working at home, and, that'd generally mean we'd sort of, roll out of bed and you'd start your day at whatever time, but you'd just keep going, and you were home. All that transit time sort of got boiled up into work time, and that it's fair to say that led to a lot of burnout and a lot of frustration and a lot of people rethinking. Add on top of that, schools wanting home teaching, and a lot of parents with young families were having to play that role as well. So that's not a role that can sort of be played after 5 o'clock. It's that's happening during the day. So really fitting that in and evolving how we manage that capacity, because it is finite. We do have to try and work within the constraints of that working week. Was really difficult early on, but pleased to say, as we've come through that, some of the tech that has been developed has really given an insight into how we can best support our people in that regard. Yeah, I think the other thing, Michael, connectivity management in terms of how we connect to all our systems. That's something again that that there's a much larger demand for that type of work. Some of the bigger organizations, they've just got hundreds of systems that you can interrelate in so many ways. And I think now organizations are really looking at how to manage their data in just an endless way, in terms of matching up the insights and the cross-platform data that they have. Yeah,
it's interesting, the analogy of using an old paper map then to the GPS, and going back to the paper map's a little tough because it doesn't tell you how the traffic's doing and what time to go and all that stuff. Yeah, so interesting. Absolutely. Yeah, very good. So how's the market there in Australia? Are people going back to work? Are they split? Are they staying home? Is it truly hybrid? What's the dynamics there?
Yeah, so look, hybrid working, I feel like it's alive and well. Talking to organisations, there are a lot that are going down that road, and having people talk about how best it would suit them to actually run their week. Judging on the and it's probably a bit of a false economy because we've just had the Grand Prix down here, but judging by the traffic in the CBD here in Melbourne, it seems to have lifted incredibly. So people are definitely coming back into the office as well. Yeah. Which I think that's something that the economy does actually need. That's a personal view. We do have to support that type of activity as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I'm curious. The Great Resignation is a thing that's talked about a lot here in the U.S., a bit in the U.K. Are companies in Australia experiencing the same thing, where people now have choice because they can work from home and they could work for any other employer just the same way, or is it not affecting you as much?
Yeah, so talking to some of our clients, I don't think it is affecting as much. I feel that the balance in terms of how people are working and the opportunity to actually choose their own adventure in that regard, Michael, has really helped. Yeah. And I think most organisations seem open to that approach. And if nothing else, that's probably a strategy to mitigate, given that the people's working day has evolved so much over the last 2 years.
Yeah, and I don't want to make a broad statement here, but I think in the U.S. there tends to be less about balance, and with you guys, I think maybe a bit more focus on that human side of it. But it will come to the U.S. Otherwise, people will choose to go elsewhere. Yeah. So,
Yes.
so you're with ActiveOps now. You've kind of crossed the chasm, if you will, into a software company. Any thoughts, or do you like it? Any new challenges? Anything you didn't expect?
Oh, look, I love it. I mean, there's always things that you don't see as a client, and I think, but the things that you do see, it's that problems are very similar across the client base. So they're all dealing with similar issues, and I think one of the things that I really, really love about this role is I'm able to apply my expertise across a broad range of clients and industries, which it's valid, and it's good in one way that you're sort of vindicated in terms of that approach. So you know that you can always draw on that experience to help a client out, and I think that's what is really energizing me at the moment, because I do have a lot of experience, and I can offer that up to assist clients with problems that I've dealt with before.
Yeah, no, that's why we're excited to have you, because that true experience is hard for us to replicate, and you've lived through it. So it's nice to have you on board, and good. It's always good to talk to you. If somebody wanted to pick up a conversation with you after watching this interview, how best to find you?
Yeah, so look, I'm on LinkedIn, but certainly my email address, martin.hogg@activeops.com, is also available if anyone wants to reach out and drop me a line. I'm more than happy to have a chat.
Excellent. Well, we're glad that you spent a bit of time with us today, and if others want to reach you, I just want to remind everybody that can also go to ActiveOps.com, fill out a form, contact us, and we'll put you in touch with Martin if you need to. Or you can also find resources like videos and white papers and data sheets and so forth at that site. You can also check us out with other podcasts like this one on AOTV. So we really appreciate you joining us, Martin. It was wonderful talking to you, and thanks so much for starting your day with us as we end our day here. So thank you very much, Martin.
No, absolute pleasure, Michael. Thanks for connecting, and have a great evening.
Excellent. And everybody, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you on the next one. Thank you.
At ActiveOps, we call it Management Process Automation, or MPA. MPA helps managers make better decisions by providing a consistent, easy-to-understand view of capacity and productivity. MPA does the hard work of consolidating information, forecasting and planning, and even gives you visibility of skills and capabilities across your enterprise. Your managers can make decisions based on a complete picture of their operations and then get back to leading. As work progresses, MPA helps managers spot problems early and deal with them proactively, celebrate successes properly, and match resource to workload in real time. By making managers more effective, MPA reduces operational costs. Best of all, the right MPA tools make it possible to deliver all these benefits across global enterprises with thousands of employees. Solutions like Workware Plus from ActiveOps. Workware Plus builds on our 20 years of experience supporting service operations to give you a 360-degree view of your operations, helping you turn operations management from a guessing game into a game-changing source of efficiency and value. Employees are empowered to manage their days and weeks feeling accomplished, confident, and able to balance work and personal life. Wherever your organisation or customers live and work, ActiveOps is ready to help you deliver world-class service and employee engagement to help your company thrive. ActiveOps. See further, know more, move faster.